Welcome to part 3 of the kitchen update. This should be the last part of the update. All I have left to do is install this door. I do have to trim it down some because it is an inch too wide and it is about 3/4 of an inch too long, which is not a problem. It should be a pretty simple cut. The only cut I'm worried about is the long one. I tend to make pretty uneven cuts. Once it's in, I do plan on painting it. I think I'm just going to do a simple white to keep everything cohesive, but I do want to make it stand out with changing the hardware. I want something that's similar to the hardware we have on the rest of the kitchen, and I know I want it to have a plate behind it, so I'm going to go on Amazon and try to look for that in the meantime. As for the rest of the cabinets, I did go ahead and give it another coat because I felt like it wasn't dark enough and it wasn't hiding enough of the imperfections. I feel like total it might have been 4 coats. The other thing I'm not sure of is whether or not I want to seal it. I was on YouTube and I was watching a couple furniture flippers, and I loved how it looked when it was sealed with something that made it shinier. But in this case, I just don't know if I should be using an oil-based or a water-based sealer. I'm assuming oil. I don't know. I need to get some decor on here because every time I'm walking past it, it's not standing out enough to me, and I keep paying attention to the imperfections or what I think are imperfections. So far, everybody else has said it looks okay, but I feel like I do still need to live with it and add some decor. I'm going to move on to getting the door installed. I'm hoping that this will be quick. I actually bought this on Facebook Marketplace for 50 bucks. I think in stores, I think it was about 150 or more. For as long as we've lived here, we never had something covering up this door. Not too many people did come this way, but it's always something that bothered me. I hated seeing into the pantry. No matter how many times I tried to keep it organized and adding bins or organizers, it just always became chaotic. This is my first time cutting a hollow door. I don't know why I expected that it would have at least 4 to 5 inches of wiggle room with this block that sat here at the bottom, but there was only about an inch of wiggle room. So since I cut it all off, I'm going to knock the sides off and put it back in the bottom. I'm going to try to reinforce it with maybe some finishing nails and glue to see if that holds. My doorway is exactly 29 inches and the door itself is 30. I want to hang it up and make sure I'm not overcutting or undercutting. My concern is the wiggle room that I don't have. If I need to come down an inch, obviously the best solution would be a 1/2 inch on both doors, which is about here. This is all I'm left with. This worries me because I don't know if this is going to compromise the durability of the door. I don't have much options, and if I need to reinforce the door later somewhere inside, then I'll do that. But for now, just sticking with the plan. Going to quickly clean up and attempt to install the door. The instructions for installation were pretty straightforward. However, I don't think I noticed how to cut the door and whether or not it was even suggested, only because of how little blocking was inside the door. But in my opinion, I'd advise against it. After I had already made the cuts to the bottom of the door, I realized that I should have cut from the top because the bottom of the door would basically be supporting the entire door. This created a lot of struggle because since I didn't secure the bottom block well enough, it popped out of place so many times. The finishing nails and glue did not work at all, so instead I used screws at the bottom because that was the only way I could keep it from popping out of place. Typically, I would have painted the door before I moved on to decor just to save the best for last. But because this project has been a bit of a battle, I needed to do something that would spark joy. I wanted to add life to this space with color, but in a subtle way. This vase is perfect for that. When picking the flowers, I was intentionally trying to choose something that looked like it was cut straight from my garden, but in a cute and chaotic way. I consider myself to be a minimalist, but I do love it when I have an opportunity to use a little color, print, patterns, and textures in my home. Most of these items were purchased, and some of these items were stolen from other spaces in my home. Once everything is placed, I always take a step back to make sure I'm happy. In this case, I found the frame was too tall on the shelf, and I also didn't like the two items with the cylinder shape to be on the same side, so I do a quick swap and the look should be complete. With the decor finish and the door painted, I can move on to installing the handles to the bifold door. This is what it'll look like. And I ordered some inexpensive back plates from Amazon in the same antique brass color as the pulls. I wasn't sure if I wanted them placed higher or lower, but ultimately I chose to place them lower since it looked better. I don't know how I keep marking holes incorrectly, but my first attempt was off. Luckily, I have the back plate so you wouldn't even notice. By this point, everything was pretty much done, but I had one more thing I wanted to do. I applied a couple coats of an oil-based polyurethane in a semi-gloss finish and sanded in between coats. Also, no, I wasn't taking the doors or the handles off before doing this. Compared to what it looked like before, I think it was a good choice. This project has really put my skills to the test, but in the process, I learned that you don't need a flawless plan to end up with a piece you love. Now, every time I walk into my kitchen, it finally looks complete, and seeing it all come together feels incredibly rewarding. Now, I can finally say I'm done. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the chaos along the way. I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching.